Hey, I'm Candace Scalise here at the CBS 21 newsroom in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, in central PA. We cover York County, and something big that was supposed to happen there today was an ICE protest. The reason that people were up in arms is because the West York Borough Police Department is planning to partner with ICE. But what does that mean? Alex Thill, our reporter, joining us live from York County. Alex, you sought out to find answers here. Sounds like this protest itself has been canceled. So you spoke to a lot of different people. Give us a story here.
I did. Hi, Candace. Hi, everybody. So today there was a protest against ICE that was supposed to happen here in West York, outside of the West York Police Bureau, their department here, because of a partnership between the police and ICE. But that protest was canceled once they found out a little bit more information about exactly what the police are doing with ICE. And so I talked with the police chief today, who tells me the actual partnership between the police department and ICE is less of a partnership of them going in and performing evictions and more of them actually seeking educational opportunities from ICE, learning more about their specific laws when it comes to customs and immigration. So they're kind of seeking those educational opportunities so they can learn more about what ICE does. And that way the borough resources can then adjust accordingly. So it's not a partnership where ICE is coming in and they're partnering with ICE to then go out and perform those evictions. That's not what's happening here. And after I spoke with organizers today, they said once they found that out, they walked back those protests because they thought the same thing, that, okay, maybe there isn't actually a need to protest this if they're seeking educational opportunities here. And so when I spoke with organizers today, they said that, once they actually read more about this and spoke to elected officials, they thought it was in the best interest to cancel the protest for those reasons.
Did they say regarding this protest, like who it was organized by, how many people were expected to show up, what their big grief with was with West York Borough? Sorry.
That's okay. They didn't say specifically how many people were planned to show up, but they did say that initially the protest was planned because they saw multiple things in the media that just said partnership with West York Borough Police Department and ICE. So to them, they didn't really know necessarily specifically what that meant, but obviously ICE and, immigration enforcement officers who are coming in, that it's a polarizing topic, not only here in Pennsylvania, but nationwide. And so it sparks a lot of concern among people in the community when they hear that ICE officials with the police departments who are, supposed to keep people in the community safe. It sparked a lot of concerns with people here about what that partnership meant. And so they wanted to immediately take action. And then, the woman I spoke with today who partners with Indivisible York is the ones who were initially planning this protest. The woman I spoke with today, she is in charge of Be There York and acts kind of as a liaison between the two. And she tells me she was the one who made the call to cancel the protest after she spoke with elected officials and found out that there was more that was actually happening behind the scenes of police, learning things from ICE, getting educational opportunities. And something that I did think was interesting, Candace, was when I spoke with Chief Millsaps today, he told me, a lot of the community wants the police to be getting that education and wants officers to know more about the specific laws when it comes to customs and immigration and enforcement. And so he was initially kind of saddened to hear that the protest was going to happen when he said that the community is asking them to have those educational opportunities. And now the concept that it's ICE providing those educational opportunities creates such a polarizing reaction from the community. He thought that was a bit disheartening to see when they're trying to do their part as a police department to get those answers for their community.
Certainly. What was the reason that the organizer gave you of Indivisible York as for why they wanted to protest? I know that they were upset about the partnership between ICE and West York Borough Police until they figured out a little bit more about it being educational. But initially, before they had the truth about what this partnership means, did she tell you anything about why they were upset about it? Do they just not want local police making these evictions?
She told me essentially that, anytime federal officers come into a community that aren't necessarily officers affiliated with that community, she gave the example of, the National Guard in DC or, people in LA, anytime that federal enforcement officers come into a community, it creates kind of a reaction and breaks that bubble that the community thinks that they have. And we've seen ICE coming into different communities across central PA. We've covered a lot happening in Lancaster recently where a woman was detained and then eventually deported back to the Philippines. And people are seeing those protests that are happening in other areas across central PA. And when they see that the partnership was happening between the West York Borough Police Department and ICE, they immediately
reacted
to action and said, we don't want this here. This is not what we want. We see what's happening in Lancaster. We don't want that happening here. We want our community protected. And now that they found out more information about what's actually happening behind the scenes, and that this isn't police partnering with ICE to perform evictions, it's them trying to get education about customs and immigration, they walked that back and they made that decision. And the woman who I spoke with today, she told me, sometimes that this has never happened, that they've never had a planned event like this, like a protest, that they have had to cancel. And so naturally people did reach out to her with frustrations about why this was canceled initially. And what she told to me, as someone who has been involved in the York community planning protests since last winter, what she explained to me was that, you guys have to trust me on this. I did talk with local officials, and it's not what we thought initially. It seems like there is more happening behind the scenes. And I did get a chance to speak with the borough manager today as well, who echoed those same things and says he thinks it's important that groups here are doing their research before planning public events.
Did the chief of police say anything about whether ICE is actively in the community performing deportations and evictions for people being here illegally?
They didn't give specifics about what specifically ICE is doing here, but what they did tell me is police departments and ICE are different in ways where police can go in to a home if they have a warrant. ICE, it's different. So ICE being here and performing evictions and doing what they're doing, if they are here like they were in Lancaster, police can't necessarily assist with that or won't assist with that if they don't have a warrant. So they're not going to be going in and performing those evictions, but they are getting requests from ICE to help them, find either people who might be in this country illegally, or people who might not be here documented. And the police, essentially what they communicated to me was that they want more information about what specifically the laws and rules are that ICE is following before they actually help out in certain ways with that, because they want to make sure that they're using their borough resources to the best of their abilities. And what was communicated to me today, not just from Chief Millsaps, but also the borough manager, is that the community members here are their top priority. It's their priority to keep the community here safe, and they care about the diversity of the community. York specifically has a rich Hispanic culture, and they really do care about those people, and have expressed to me that they want to make sure they're learning everything they can. They're a smaller police department here. ICE is a federal organization that can come in with information about criminal law enforcement when it comes to immigration and customs. So they really want to make sure that they're learning everything they can about what those rules are before they're acting.
Really helpful information. Thank you for clarifying all of that, because as you said, until you get the answers, a lot of people don't know. So to clarify, if you are just joining us, sounds like West York Borough Police and Immigrations and Customs Enforcement are partnering together, but not to perform evictions, so that the borough and the police department there can learn more about the rules and regulations regarding ICE. Super. Thank you so much, Alex. I really appreciate it. Good job on this story. We will see her at 5:30, and 6 o'clock tonight on CBS 21 News.